Well, you can add acid until it equals out, okay? And this is when those indicators come in handy. Okay, we talked about litmus paper before. If you do this lab that's on the next page, you don't have to, but it's just fun, even if you don't do the actual like numbers and walk through it. And I'll talk about it in just a second. But when you have a titration, the end point of that titration is when one has balanced out the other perfectly before it starts tipping the other way. So basically you're adding enough base to neutralize the acid, and then once it changes color, you know that the base is about to start taking over and that it's equal. Okay. Same thing with acid. If you have an acid and you want to neutralize it with a base, it's the same process, just flip-flopped. Okay. So keep in mind, we don't, instead of having a limited reactant where there's a limit to how much it uses, titration doesn't have that. It's more of a balance. Okay. And the reaction ends when it's balanced through titration. Okay. So this lab, if you choose to do it, it's one that's really fun. I've done it with my kids before. Basically, you just take red cabbage leaves and boil it because you're trying to get the red color out of the leaves. It's going to act as a litmus test. Okay. So then you have a cup or a beaker of ammonia and vinegar. One's going to act as your acid, your vinegar, and one's going to be your ammonia, your base. Okay. So you're going to use the color. And I think you add it to the base first. What color is it going to be if it's a base? It's going to be a blue purple, okay? And so if you don't know how much base is in there, you're going to start slowly adding your acid, your vinegar into that to try to neutralize it into the container. So you've got your base, your acid, and then your container of purple stuff. So as you add your acid, you're going to see that the color starts changing, and eventually it's going to start changing lighter and lighter and lighter. And then there's going to be a tipping point where all of a sudden it's not blue-purple anymore. It starts to be a pink-purple. And then if you keep adding more and more, it's going to become really pink. So your end result, actually, if you have a lot of acid in there, it's going to have eaten up all the base. It's going to be like kind of a bright pink color. And if you do the opposite and you put a lot of base in to neutralize that acid, and then you put even more in so there's more base, you're going to see that that color goes from that hot pink to purple to almost a blue-green, like a darker blue-green color, kind of like a teal. Okay, so then it's kind of fun to like pour and watch the colors change as you add more to it. So basically, the whole idea of titration is you're balancing the acids and the bases until they meet. And if you do a little bit too much, then you've lifted that balance, you've unbalanced it again, and you have to go back down. Okay, so titration is the point at which that it ends. The end point is where they're neutral. They've neutralized each other. Okay, so there's nothing new on this last on your own. There's nothing new with the titration. You're just doing another one with the idea of titration mixed in. So it's just like the on your own you just did. So if you look at it, they give you 125 milliliters of HNO3. And then they give you a molarity of magnesium hydroxide and milliliters. So you got molarity and milliliters. So you're going to do the same thing that you did. Okay, you're going to use your molarity and liters. Remember, you're going to do, if your molarity is 2.3, you're going to do 2.3 moles over 1 liter, and you're going to multiply that by the number of liters they give you. They give you milliliters, so just switch it. Okay, that gives you the number of moles. From there, you can take moles, and you can switch, what do they want you to find? The concentration. They actually want you to find the concentration. So this is a little bit different. You're not finding the grams. You need to find the concentration, which is fine, because if you know moles of it and liters of it, your final result, you're going to be using this one to find concentration, which is molarity. Okay, so go ahead and do your best on that. This is the end of the chapter. Those last two should be the only ones that are a little bit more complicated because you have to keep track of those formulas and keep track of what belongs to what. So I'm going to end this here, and after you work through all of them, if you have any questions, I can do separate videos and just walk through showing you how to do the on your owns. Hopefully you'll be okay. For next week, please do the review problems and the practice problems, and then I'll send out another video and I will walk through all of those with you, and hopefully there won't be too many questions. Alright, hopefully this works, guys. Bye.